Now it's time for Straight on the Point with Jesse T. from some undisclosed location somewhere in the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jesse T.
To be back with you here on another beautiful day in Southern California. It is nighttime already here on the West Coast, of course. We are in the dead of winter. It got a little cool last night all around Southern California, but today it was a nice tepid day here in the Southland. It's good to have you along with me. It's time for the Jesse T Show, and it's yours truly, me, Jesse T, and I'm back in full force right now with you, thanking the road crew that helped me put together the lighting back here. Yeah, I had a couple of extra lights that I had to put up here so we would not make it so shadowy and dark. Who knows what lurks inside the heads of mind and men? The shadow knows. Well, yeah, I didn't want that. When you put your lighting down below, it makes you look really sinister. When you put your lighting down above, it makes you look really scary. And so you try to get the lighting just right. This lighting stuff is a science. It really is. Anyway, it's good to be back with you. We had a great show yesterday, Roundup, Wound Up. The Shark was in, and also the Road Dog King himself, Dan the Man, was hanging out with us, of course. Michelangelo was out on the Kiki Mobile set, and he had a rap party last night, so we're looking forward to having him back on the air with us on Wednesday of next week as we break off into December tonight at the strike of midnight. 25 days, and Christmas is here. That's right. That fast upon us is December of 2017 already, December 1st, coming up tonight at midnight plus 1 second. We'll be breaking into the massive holiday season of buying and eating and buying and eating and stressed out driving and shoppers on the street that haven't been on the street all year long. Oh, man, it's going to be a jam-packed holiday, I think. And the reason why is because our economy is a lot better right now. In fact, today, I thought I would just do a show with you and me together right here on the Jesse T Show on Facebook.com/Jesse Torrero. And we're broadcasting on YouTube, Jesse Torrero. We're kind of changing our branding a little bit, KTNT Radio and TV broadcasting and podcasting. So we're going to be breaking off and growing a little bit here in 2018. We are also, of course, our radio home is thepowerofvoices.com. And, people have been asking me, how do I hear you in the car? Because I don't want to be driving, watching, even though I can. How do we listen in the car? Well, across America, what you have to do is download the free Power of Voices app. It's really simple. Just go and download the app, like you would download any app on a mobile app or a desktop app for, of course, Android and or Apple. And then you're ready to go, red hot and rolling. You'll catch our broadcast feed all the time and tune into the Jesse T Show at 5 o'clock right here every Monday through Friday and Saturday and Sunday too, as we do the rebroadcast of the best of the Jesse T Show through the week. So it's a lot of fun. And we want you to pay attention to all the other great quality programs we have here at thepowerofvoices.com. Like our buddy in the mornings from 10 to 12, Lee Michaels. Yeah, that's right, Big Lee, baby. He's on the air and everywhere, just like Jesse T here, from the community to the world. But he's on at 10 to 12. He's got a great show, live call-in show. It's a lot of fun. And obviously, if you don't have that phone number down, you can call in anytime, and we'll put you on the air and see what you got to say about certain things at 424-227-9461. Also, check us out on Instagram, as I'm posting up the Instagram stuff right now and getting that going here. It is a little bit late. I should have got that going right away, but we wanted to get the show on time. Sometimes we run just a little bit late in the transition from other shows to our show. So we wanted to make sure we could at least get it on time today. And so it's good to have you along with us as we do our thing right here on the Jesse T Show. So today, as we're loading up Instagram Live, saying hi to our audience, Eric Lindholm, Jason Charles Cross. I like that. JCC. That's like CC Ryder and CCR, something like that. Yeah, and we can't forget about Daryl Geisden. Hey, Daryl, good to have you along with us. We're live on Instagram Live too, as well, and right here on Facebook every day at 5 o'clock. As we start loading them up, I wanted to look at America since it is the holiday season and December 1st is on its way. I kind of wanted to look at America and see what we do right. There's so much negativity right now. And, I will tell you, I drop into it too, because for the nature of talk shows, TV and radio talk shows, we kind of have to hit some issues with our point of view. And it kind of ruffles some feathers out there, but that's what we're supposed to do. And but there's so much negativity out there. I just wanted to look at the world and America specifically, our great country, and kind of ask ourselves today, what's good about America? I posed this question to the Roundup Wound-Up crew, and they had some interesting answers. But I just kind of wanted to kind of think about it and talk about it a little bit. And what are you grateful for? What are you thankful for here in America? What is the things that make you proud of this nation? Yeah, for you, there might not be anything. For you, you just might absolutely hate this country. Then my question to you is, why the hell are you living here? You should vamonos, man, get the hell out and go back to wherever you think you're going to be happy. Because after all, life is about happiness. And in fact, one of the very greatest pop singers of my generation, he was the God King of teenage women, teenage girls. I was growing up in the 1960s and 70s, and David Cassidy of the Partridge Family. Remember David Cassidy? He was just a heartthrob in every teeny bopper magazine. Saying hi to Jonathan Swanson, who has us on Instagram Live. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing, buddy? Pass the word along. Share us out. We get something like 97,000 shares, brand new shares a month, and that's on Facebook alone. We've got that certified too. I post them up so everybody sees that I'm not lying, baby. No way. I'm telling the truth. And anyhow, we were talking about this idea of what's good about America and what makes it good for you. There's got to be things that make you proud to be an American. I mean, I think one of the things that people should really do in this country, and at least before they're 25, they should take a little traveling experience around the world. Now, maybe you can't afford a lot of places, but perhaps you can afford to drive across the border. Make sure you have a passport, though. Perhaps you can afford to maybe take a plane trip to another country, just one country. It doesn't matter where it might be, anywhere in God's blue-green earth, and experience how they live. Experience how they move around on a daily basis. And just don't go there to party and get drunk. And if you're single, meet men or meet women or what have you. If you're with a loved one, romantic evenings are cool. But go there with the idea of weighing their world against your world. And ask yourself this question. Would you want to live there? Or would you want to be you were born, or you immigrants? I think that immigrants love this country better than us born citizens. They really appreciate wanting to come to this great country. It beckons them. It's like a heartbeat. It's like a signal from SETI. That's that signal we shoot off into the galaxies looking for extraterrestrials. It's like a signal, a beacon, and it just brings people to America. It always has. And we are not certainly a flawless nation, and we are not certainly a nation that hasn't done its fair share of evil, as Dan the Man, the Road Dog King says, but we're certainly the best the world has to offer. That's for sure. Now, I've traveled in 43 countries, and the reason why I suggest people do that traveling, at least before they're 25, and I say that because I think you really will appreciate landing back at LAX or Chicago O'Hara or LaGuardia or Kennedy or anywhere, Denver International or Atlanta, I think you'll be very pleased to come back home and kiss the ground that you were born on. Get a different perspective. Maybe not. Maybe you just wouldn't want to move there to a place like Costa Rica and live the rest of your life. And maybe so, you should do that. We don't need you if you don't want to be here. That's how I feel about it. If you don't want to be here and you don't like it, we don't need to have you here. Find someplace happy to live. As I was talking about David Cassidy, his daughter, they were estranged from each other. They were separated. David Cassidy had an alcohol and drug problem when his career started failing after the teeny bopper years. Saying hi to Mark Morales and Angela Capri, who have us on. Becky Romero, how you doing, Becky? Hey, I've been seeing you around for a while. Got to say hi to some more folks on Instagram Live, and I got the little camera going here, so I got to use the, oh yes, the Sherlock Holmes magnifying glass to read the little print on Instagram Live. See who's checking in. Guitar Blues. Jesse T rocks. Thanks a lot. All the aliens are here. That's right. The aliens love America. Why is that? Why is that? Aliens love America. And I'll tell you why. The reason is because we are the greatest nation historically to ever get put together. However we got put together, we got it together and provided an opportunity for people around this planet and God's blue-green earth that they've never had before historically in their countries where they came from, even if you came from England. Saying hi to Jonathan Swanson again. Thanks a lot. So, there's goodness in this place. So I say, if you don't want to be here, don't be here. Go away. That's not to say that you shouldn't do good effort to try to make change. Martin Luther King Jr. did good effort, of course. Of course, he made great change. I think Sharpton and the Reverend Jesse Jackson hurt that. But nevertheless, they're great civil rights activists. JFK and Robert Kennedy were one of them. And they weren't black. They were white. They were very much behind the civil rights of all Americans. In fact, our forefathers, really most of them on the north side versus the south side. Remember, there were only 13 colonies. And a lot of the forefathers that were more north than south, I mean, the north and the south started right at the beginning of our nation because you could grow all the agriculture and the food here in the south because the climate was right for it. The north was very cold and freezing temperatures. In the south, they had a much more temperate climate, though they had the hurricanes, just like we have now, and they had the windstorms and the snowstorms. But, the snow doesn't last too long in Florida or Atlanta or Georgia or Virginia. The southerns, the South Carolina, North Carolina, it doesn't last anywhere like Chicago or Massachusetts. So there was always that separation anyhow, anyway. It was at the beginning of our great country. But the northern forefathers kind of felt that slavery was not something that they wanted. The southern forefathers had more slaves because they needed the agricultural aspect of their industries to continue on. And so they got free and cheap labor. Sort of seems like what businessmen are doing today in Malaysia and India and Mexico and China. I mean, they got slave labor in China. It's sort of hasn't changed much in 300 years, has it? But it sure has changed a lot here in America, hasn't it? Versus other nations. I mean, look how far we've progressed. That's the sign of a God-fearing, compassionate, loving, and understanding nation that moves slowly, but moves to the positive nevertheless. And a lot of our forefathers, actually, upon their death, yes, they maybe should have done it earlier, but they didn't, and that's a fact. But upon their death, they gave free walking papers to their slaves. They made them free men and free women. So there's a lot of good things about what happened in America over the last almost 300 years now. Not quite, but we're going to approach that pretty soon. So there's a lot of good things to be thankful for and grateful for. I tell you about being born in America in Chicago in 1960. I certainly am thankful that I was born in no other nation but this great nation. Because look at, I didn't have to worry about people wanting to kill me. I didn't have to worry about famine. I didn't have to worry about not having electricity. I didn't have to worry about my country stealing from me, even though I think taxes is a big steal, especially if you live in New York, and you know what I mean in New York and here in California. Not only do they take state tax at about 11 to 15%, they take sales tax. So you get hit with the IRS, you get hit with state tax and sales tax. I mean, by the time we're all taxed out in California, you walk out with a pittance of money. It's unbelievable. But I think that's a bit of robbery, and you can thank J.P. Morgan for that, the IRS Tax Reform Act of 1917, when he shoved that through Woodrow Wilson's presidency, who I think was one of the most traitorous presidents this country has ever seen. But nevertheless, that's another topic. Though, you know, we didn't have people knocking down our doors in the middle of the night, taking our children or our parents away because they protested some at one particular rally that wasn't happy or wasn't positive in 1966. So, I mean, our country really is a beautiful place. It's not perfect, but we as a nation have come together. Peoples from all around the world have come here to start fresh and new. Whether you came here by force or you came here by your own initiative. Most everybody in this country came here under some sort of slavery. Indentured servitude was just a fancy name for slavery. Read about the Irish slaves. Read about what happened to the Germans and the Jews and the Italians and the Polish when they came to this country. Read about them as well. We've had slavery through every demographic and every race that has come here to America. It is just the way it has been, but it's not that way anymore. Read about the Chinese who were shanghaied, literally. That Shanghai concept, that was, they would literally Shanghai Chinese from China mainland and Hong Kong and put them on a boat and bring them here in forced labor, building the railroad system, cutting the tunnels through the Rocky Mountains. Many of them died just south of us, north of us, 45 minutes. At the Sylmar Tunnel, right there, when that track was laid in 1865 to 1867, the one that goes up and down San Fernando Road, and a lot of people don't know that. Right there in that tunnel, it is the longest tunnel that a train goes through. Any one of the Amtrak or MTA trains that go up to Antelope Valley have to go through that tunnel. That tunnel is like 2 miles long. It's an incredibly long tunnel, one of the longest. Don't know if it is the longest in the continental America, but it certainly ranks up there in the top 5. Did you know that Chinese actually dug that tunnel? They dug that tunnel. They were enslaved in that tunnel, and they died in that tunnel on cave-ins, and they were buried under the rock, and their bodies were never taken out. It's a spooky tunnel. Men died in that tunnel. So what nation that has given us their people hasn't been enslaved by the Americas? We all have. But, you know, in America, we had the opportunity to better ourselves. And over the great time heals and time changes everything. My 86-year-old dad says, you got time on your side. I don't. And he's right. We have time on our side. If we just honor the concept that this place is really the best place in the world to live, to do pain right now. I believe there's a reason for that. I believe there's a plan and a strategy that targeted race for race riots. I believe the destruction of our social network is something that has been created, implemented, and they are doing it every single day, utilizing the media as their weapon of brainwashing. That's what I believe. Thank goodness for places like the Jesse T Show, the internet, TV online, like we do here, radio online, where we can maybe switch the reel a little bit on the mainstream media that glorify all evil, glorify all negativity. It's time to shuck those things, drop the anchors, and look what you have in your life. David Cassidy said to his daughter they were estranged from each other because of his drug and alcohol problem. He got his career back, though, and performed lots of years in Vegas and on the road. A talented man. Got his career back and then tried to get his family back. His daughter came around a few years ago. I don't know exactly the amount of years, but enough that they reconciled a little bit of their relationship, dad and daughter. I have a daughter, and I can't ever imagine not having her in my life. I can't imagine it. She fills a part of me that I knew my little girl would when she was born. But they reconciled. And when he died, she was, some may agree it was the right thing to do. Some may agree it was the wrong thing to do. But the last words that David Cassidy said, a lot of wasted time. Think about that. A lot of wasted time. He wasted a lot of time in his life being angry, being depressed. Didn't look at the bright side of things as much as he wanted to or could have. His last words were a lot of wasted time. Don't waste any time, folks, because you never know when your clock is up. Don't waste any time. Don't sit on your deathbed and look at the heavens above and say, a lot of wasted time. And I think that we as a nation today, and over the last 25 years of my life, 30 years of my life, we as a people have wasted a lot of time on things that are really not important. And it seems that the things we waste our time on are the things that really upset us. The evil, as Dan the Man says, the evil things that happen. And why do they happen? Why 60 years ago the evil was there, but it didn't affect us as much? Because we were a happier nation. We were a happier people, and I don't care what color you are. I don't care what religion you are. You were happier. You weren't at all as happy as you wanted to be, but nobody is. You had your struggles, but everybody has. And we, as a nation, over the last 45 years of my 57-year-old life, we as a nation have fought the fight together. You know, they say in a foxhole, there's no time for race. There's no time for religion. There's time to love your brother. That's what they say. There are no atheists in a foxhole. We all pray to one God when the enemy is upon us. And we don't care what color, what religion, what gender, what sexual satisfaction you are. Whatever you decide, it don't matter. Pull the friggin' trigger, please. That's something to think about. But yet we get out here in this country and we find ourselves becoming hate mongers. All of us. You, me. Why is that? Did you wake up one day deciding to hate people who are of Asian descent? Did you wake up one day deciding to hate people who are white? Did you wake up one day deciding to hate people who are black? Did you wake up one day deciding to hate people who are from Armenia, who are natives, who are Latinos? No, you didn't. You learned to hate. You learned to not be kind. You learned to live in the negativity of our very complicated and stressed out lives. See, when you recognize that, you can become a little more free with the truth. Because the truth is just really simple. When you die, if you have the blessed opportunity in your life, no matter when that time is, to be able to look up, have your boots off, put a smile on your face, and have some loved ones, and maybe just a few friends around, you are blessed by God. Because at that moment, money, hatred, evil goes away. That's why we should live our life that way today. Don't you think? Saying hi to Lisa French, who has us on. Lisa French, great American entertainment and easy on the eyes. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Chevron Roberts, haven't seen Chevron in a while. Nice artist, a great little rock and roll artist. She's a very, very good. Yeah, I'll check her out, some of her stuff. Saying hi to Jeff Julius. Hey, Jeff, what's happening, buddy? Nice to have you join us here on Instagram Live and Facebook.com/Jesse Torrero. So what is great about this country? What is great? How has this country made a better life for you? How has your life become better in the last 10 years? Well, let's start with some very basics. Your breathing. That's number one. Your breathing. You don't have repression chasing you down the street with an AR-15, I hope. You're breathing. That means you have an opportunity to change your life. You have an opportunity to become great at what you want to become great at. That's number two. What a great place that we have here in America to become great at something if we so desire. Maybe we just want to become great homeless people. You can do that. Maybe we want to become the scientist that finds the newest galaxies far in deep space. You can do that. Maybe we want to go work for the Department of Water and Power and have a nice living and a good retirement. You can do that. You can do whatever you want in this country, just as long as you don't hurt anybody on your way. That's the problem that I have when people want to hurt people. That bothers me. But you could be anything you want to be. Did you know that most millionaires and billionaires today only graduated from high school? Most of them, a good portion of them, did not graduate from a college. Yeah, they didn't. They graduated from high school, maybe got a little bit of education in college, but they didn't. But they had the heart and the passion and the desire in the face of all who say no, in the face of all negativity, in the face of all family and friends who say, oh, you can't do that. You're not tall enough. You're not the right color. You don't pray to the right God. You don't wear the right or drive the or the right dialect. You don't have the right color eyes. You don't come from a super wealthy, elite, spoon, silver-fed family. You don't have the connections. The people that have passion for what they want to do, but also passion won't get it for you. What gets it for you is a plan. Your passion gives you the energy. Your plan gives you the roadmap. Your journey gives you the excitement. And the end result is success, even if you don't become worth $500 million. Because the success is not in the money. The success is in the journey that you did what you wanted to do and became the best at whatever that was. The great baseball player for the Los Angeles Dodgers, Hall of Famer Reggie Smith. He coached my son, who's a professional Spartan obstacle course racer, Tough Mudder racer. He placed fifth in the 2017 Spartan World Championships last year, or just a few months ago. He was a baseball player for a long time, very good too. And Reggie Smith was his coach. That cost Dad here quite a penny every year. Let me tell you, that's why I drive the gray Ghost and not a beautiful black or maroon Bentley. I mean, whew, yeah, still recovering from that. I had two that we took care of. It was major, the best. Money was not an issue. They just had to be the best. But he said this about talent. He said, no matter where a player in the world plays, I don't care if they play in Rio de Janeiro, I don't care if they play in France, China, Tucson, Arizona, Canada, Los Angeles, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Cuba. I don't care if they play in South Africa, Nigeria, China. It doesn't make any difference. Talent will always find its way. That's what he used to say. He coupled it with talent will always be found. Now think about that for a second. If you have a talent for something, you may not even know what your talent is. But if you try lots of things and something hits your button and you become talented at that, talent will find you. People will find you. That's the beautiful thing about that Kevin Costner movie, The Field of Dreams. Build it, they will come. You have to have the faith, but you have to have a plan. You have to have a map, and you have to have a journey, and that's what you enjoy. Cy Richardson, a very good actor, character actor, has had a 45-year career in Hollywood. Just a terrific character actor. He said to me once when I was reading for a film, and I didn't get it, and I was really bummed in the mid-'80s, late 80s. He said to me, if you're looking to make a lot of money in the entertainment business, then go be a plumber. And I wanted to smack him. But he was right. Money is not the driving issue if you want to be in the entertainment business. You have a talent and a passion to entertain, to do that thing that you do. Don't worry about the money. Because at the end of the day, if you accomplish what you want to do and you live a life of fulfillment, what more positive way of living is that? This country gives you, and each and every one of you, the opportunity to become whatever you want, whoever you want. It doesn't make any difference anymore. Also, what's great about this country is we've really never had any wars in our country attacking us. Thank God we have two giant oceans and friendly nations that abut us. What's great about this country is that we can have a job. We can start a family. What's great about this country is the scientific and medical breakthroughs that at one point made us the most healthy people on the planet Earth. But of course, I believe the reason why we have a lot of health issues today is because of the greed of the biopharmaceutical companies, creating obesity in the malnutrition food and toxic-filled water that we have in the last 40 years. But we've got food to eat, don't we? We can go to all the stores. There are people and nations around this world that have nothing. They're still literally going out into the jungle, having to take their food from nature. And if they don't get it, they starve. We don't have that here. We have a political system that's really all screwed up, but I would rather have our political system than a political system like they have in England or Germany. They don't have the rights that we have in this country. They don't have a constitution. They don't have a Bill of Rights. They didn't have a Declaration of Independence. We do. You know, we're the only nation in the world up until about 10 or 15 years ago, and maybe it still holds true, that has a Bill of Rights for its citizens. Google search that. Not many countries have that. Nope, they don't. Even the ones that you think have that. For all the things and all the fighting and all the hate and all the race hating and mongering and race baiting, and for all the perversity that's going on right now, for all the negative stuff you see in the news about the bombs and the terrorists and the killings and the people hating somebody because they're gay or lesbian, people hating somebody because that somebody doesn't know whether they're a boy or girl, or want to be a boy and they're a girl, or they want to be a girl and they're a boy, bisexuals, Muslims, Christians, Tibetans, Buddha, Tao, whatever it is, all this hate and all this anger that has happened, certainly in the last 15 to 20 years, it started brouhaha a long time ago, has got to stop. If we keep going down this kind of path, we are destined for self-destruction. Because America was a nation that was put together by many different strains of DNA. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. We all co-mingled, baby. And we did a lot of co-mingling. 320 plus million co-mingling. And haven't you noticed that the next two generations underneath the baby boom generation, seems like the baby boom generation is the most angry right now. Maybe it's because they allowed it to happen to themselves. I've often said I'm at the other end of the baby boom generation, the very edge of it, end of it. I've often said that we baby boomers destroyed this country. That we baby boomers that were born in 1946 to 1964, we were the ones that allowed our country to become what it is today. Our me, myself, and I attitudes. We destroyed the idea of marriage. We destroyed the idea of community and society. We destroyed the idea of peace and harmony. We created the massive idea of false needs, wants, and desires that the previous generations didn't have. We created it. We were the ones that created the major corporations. We were the ones that created all of the stuff that's happened since 1946. Yeah, the baby boomers. Maybe the baby boomers are just starting to realize that they screwed up. I've argued the point that the baby boom generation is probably historically going to go down 1,000 years from now as the worst generation that the United States of America has ever birthed. That's been long. Because the next generation, and this is something to be so proud of, and something good about America, the next generation doesn't care about the commingling of their timeline. What a beautiful thing to see black men, black women with Asian men, Asian women, white men. What a beautiful thing to see Latinos with Asians, to see Asians with white people, to see white people with Latinos. These are the peoples that are conjugated and congregated in America today. What's so different about that than the Polish and the Italians, than the Jews and the Irish, than the Germans and the natives, than the Spaniards and the Swedish. There's no difference. It's the same thing. But there's one difference. The powers that run this world, that run this country by way of media, have bastardized the communication process to the point that all they want is mayhem, anarchy, and chaos. And we, the baby boom generation, created that. It's an oxymoron, isn't it? This next generation doesn't care about all of that. This next generation, the millennials, and the babies being born today, they're inheriting a world, a concept, and an ideology that is much more accepting than the baby boom generation. What do you care whether somebody who's gay wants to get married to somebody else who's the same sex? Just as long as they're not shooting up your backyard with their 9mm. What do you care? As long as they're speaking a virtuous life. You go back in history, the friggin' Romans and Greeks were doing it with everything. America is a great place. You see, we can become somewhere. We can love who we want to love. That's the beautiful thing about America. In Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Iran, in Somalia, you do that, they're going to kill you. They're going to kill you. That's a fact. Simple. They're going to hunt you down like a rabid dog, and they're going to hang you. In fact, your spouse might kill you and turn you in. Doesn't happen in this country. It's another beautiful thing about this place. For all the things we complain about, for all the things we get angry about, for all the things that we have been taught to hate, really, I think we need to take a step back and look at the positive things. We live in a great and beautiful nation. Our music is so powerful and wonderful, and probably the best music the world's ever had. Country music, jazz, R&B, blues, rock and roll, big band swing. Oh man, we're talking Dixieland music. We're talking, all kinds of native music with the drums and the flutes. I mean, what a great nation of music. How wonderful is that? How wonderful that we all speak the same language, that we can communicate. Why are they trying to destroy that? Why are we letting them? We all speak one language. Hey, I know people that speak 12 languages. But in America, we speak English and Spanish and Mandarin. These languages are growing really fast, and French. But we speak English. What a beautiful thing. Because of that, we've been able to become a powerful force, because we all talk the same talk and walk the same walk. What a beautiful thing that this country offers us. Great, beautiful vistas like the Grand Canyon, huge towering trees and forests like the sequoias and redwoods, beautiful Northeast, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont. I mean, these gorgeous places, Niagara Falls, the beautiful South, with all the beautiful forests, the woods, the music, the food. How wonderful. And we have the ability to get a job. Thank goodness for President Trump. I'm a Trumpster. I think he's done a pretty darn good job. But the way you'd see news, he's the most horrible thing since Genghis Khan. And he really isn't. Is he any worse than the Bushies, who I believe were evil, satanic people. Yeah, they murdered Americans. Murdered Americans. I've argued that point since the trade towers were dropped. You know, Reagan didn't like the first old man Bush who likes to pat girls' butts sitting in his wheelchair, the deviant pervert he is. If he wants to pat somebody's butt, why doesn't he pat his wife's butt? You see, they've twisted it. The Clintons, who I think are the most deviant people the White House has seen in modern politics. And I'm talking about perversity and greed. See, the Bushies were very wealthy. They've been wealthy for several generations. They're old money, way before World War I. You know, Prescott Bush created Union Bank. I could go on about that. And Obama, I believe he was the most decisive president that decided to go after and create the worst climate for the intermingling of our great nation's races and ethnicity. Everything became a fight for those 8 years. Hate really grew. I'm not going to say Trump is all the get all. I'm not going to say Trump is, the smartest bean in the bush. But he sure has done some good things. It's his watch. Employment is down. Unemployment is down. People are working. Housing is up. People are buying. Consumerism is growing. Interest rates are down. We've got better border security. We're going to get a tax reform act. It's not perfect. There are some things that I absolutely dislike. But you know something? Isn't it a good thing and a positive thing that we will pay less taxes from our paychecks at least? I mean, the cost of his White House is far less because he hasn't hired, but what, 25% of the people that most presidents hire? The Supreme Court is more balanced. These are just some of his accomplishments. What about the accomplishments of some other great business women and businessmen? Look what's happened with Amazon and Jeff Bezos. They're employing millions of people now in America. Our car manufacturing is coming back to America. Maybe if it's only one plant, that's one plant that wasn't there before. There are so many wonderful things to be thankful for that are going on in a positive way. Just getting up every day, being able to say, I'm breathing, I love my wife, I love my husband, I love my kids, they go to school, I can take them out of the school that's maybe not so good and put them in another school. If I don't have a job, I can go maybe find a job, keep looking until I get a job. I don't care what the job is, I'll have something. Become an Uber driver. Anybody can become an Uber driver or a Lyft driver. I know cats that are making $1,000 a week. That's $52,000 a year. And they got new cars. They got a better car than I do. There's so many ways to have ingenuity. You can walk out in your front yard and water your grass. What a wonderful thing. There are countries, they have no grass to water. They live in fear of their lives every day. MS-13 They just busted, what, 400 or 500 people nationwide? Why didn't that happen over the last 20 years when they started coming here? When El Salvador and the Civil War, they started coming to America. I remember those days when MS-13 was showing up writing on walls for the first time in Los Angeles. 18th Street and MS-13 used to have bitter, murderous rivals. Finally, they're getting busted. Is that not a good thing from the Department of Justice and the FBI? Why did it take Trump to do that? Why didn't Obama do that? Why didn't Bush do that? Why didn't Clinton do that when all of this crap started? See, we live in a place that's getting better if we just allow ourselves to be kinder and to walk with a little pep in your step and a smile on your face. I'm not saying that you live in a la-la land, a mythological folklore land, that you live in a fantasy. No. I was almost accosted 2 weeks ago in front of the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium on my way to a huge AFM seminar, the American film market. I had to deal with some knucklehead. He was 10 feet from me. He traveled 90 feet to get to me. For some reason, he decided that he didn't want to travel the next 10 feet. There, by the grace of God, go I. What a beautiful thing to be thankful for. Because had he gotten closer, well, just let me tell you, I would be here, but he wouldn't. But it didn't happen. Sure, there's evil and there's meanness, but I believe that in the last 20 to 25 years, it has really risen to a magnitude that we don't think America's good anymore. We have the greatest military. We help more people in this world than any other country. Nobody comes to the help of any other country like America. We subsidize so many things around this globe. I don't think we subsidize enough for our own people, but then our own people take advantage of things like welfare and EBT. It was never supposed to be a 3-generational thing. It was supposed to be a stopgap to get you back up and going. That's a day for another conversation. But we are a country that really bestows friendship. Bring us your people. Just come here legally. We need to protect our country. What's so wrong with that? To protect our nation. And maybe, like my father says, 86 years old. He's always said this to me. And that is, it's better to have something when you don't need it than to not have something when you desperately need it. So maybe we build a wall. Maybe we don't need it. But what if someday we do need it and there's no wall there? What do? Send the tank brigade down there from California and Nevada and kill everybody that comes across the border? Strafe them with A-10 Warhogs? My favorite plane, by the way. It's better to have something and not need it or use it than to not have it when you desperately need it. That's called insurance. It's called America. Why do we have 12 carriers? Why do we have a fleet in 7 oceans? Those are all the oceans in the world, by the way. Why do we have bases around the world? To protect our country so that we can continue being the greatest place, the shining city on the hill that Reagan spoke about. And I wasn't really happy with him at the end of his presidency. I think he was slipping then. I really do. So it's better to have that. So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with people having the ability to protect themselves with a firearm? The congressmen, the assembly people here in California, the governor, and the senators out of California 2 weeks ago voted themselves the right to carry a concealed firearm. The congressmen in Washington and the senators all have the right to have a concealed firearm. And we pay for them to be able to shoot it, learn how to shoot it. Yeah, you and I. How come they can have it, but you can't? In California, in Chicago, Illinois, in New York. Why? What do you do when you're confronted by 4 guys that want to kill you? If you have a concealed weapon, you pull it out and shoot them all. If you don't, you're dead. And don't you think your family would miss you? Especially if you're the main breadwinner? Don't you think your family's life would change? So what's wrong with being able to protect yourself? It's better to have and not use it or need it than to not have it when you need it. That's what America is. We feed the world from our nation. Look at all the wonderful things we do. We allow dissent and argument and free speech. We allow any God to be worshipped as long as you don't hurt somebody else. We get fair justice as justice can be fair as it can be. Not always perfect. But I sure am glad Charlie Manson died in prison. I sure am glad they caught Richard Dahmer. I'm sure glad they caught the Hillside Strangler. Aren't you? America's a great place. And it's because of you, and you, and you, and you, and you, that make it even greater. Think of this country in a positive way. Think of your town, your city, your street, your neighborhood, your friends, your family, and yourself and your home in a positive way. Put some cheer in your life. It's December 1st. God bless America. God bless Merry Christmas. God bless you. The world, according to Torrero, now you're straight on the point. The Brown Beauty's off duty. See ya! Boom!